I've recently added a new canvas series to my collection, the 706 series from Classons. I've used Classons canvases for a long time, and each series has its own personality. The 706 has a fine weave, while the 13 series, which I often use, has a very fine weave. It might sound like a small difference, but once you start painting, you can immediately feel how the surface responds to a brush. The 13 series is incredibly smooth. It gives a polished surface that naturally pulls the painting in a detailed, refined direction. It's perfect for works where you want to focus on subtle transitions, smooth blending, and fine detail. But the trade off is that your brushstrokes don't stand out much. The surface tends to absorb them, creating a clean, soft finish. For my current painting, I wanted something different. I wanted the energy of the brushwork to show through. That's why I went for the 706 series. I'm currently working on a commission from my parents, and their request was a bit special. They wanted me to create a painting of them, but they didn't have a proper photo that I could directly use. Most of the pictures they have are group shots with relatives and family members. Even the few couple photos they took together weren't exactly painting worthy, or they were not in a good composition, at least in my eyes. So I decided to create an entirely new pose for them. I did a lot of adjustments to the posture and composition to bring out something that felt natural yet elegant, something that truly suited their personality. They don't have any photo that matches this pose, it's completely built from scratch. Instead of jumping straight into painting, I began with a detailed sketch. I wanted to make sure the composition sat perfectly with the canvas, the balance, the gesture, the connection between them. I also focused on placing the light and shadow shapes on their face to ensure the structure felt right from the beginning. Even though I know the undersketch will eventually fade away beneath the paint layers, I still wanted to take the time to get the features accurately and the expressions just right. It's like building the foundation. Even if it won't be visible later, it holds everything together. So, what I'm doing right now is mind mapping because my brain feels like a browser with 129 tabs open right now, and we definitely gotta do mind mapping. I'm writing down the list of things that I should be doing. I don't know where to begin. The longer you stay in the wrong train, the more expensive the return ticket. This is what I understood. When you get on the wrong train, make sure you get off at the nearest station because the longer you stay, the farther you will drift away from your destination. It's going to cost you two things: one, getting back to your original starting point, and two, reaching the place you originally planned to stop at. So, at this point, the cost of the ticket will be too expensive, and so will the time it takes to travel back. At first, it feels easier to just keep sitting, to convince yourself maybe this train will somehow turn around or maybe the stops will start to look familiar again. But they don't. The more you delay getting off, the more distance builds between where you are and where you were meant to go. And the ticket becomes too expensive, not in money, but in peace, in clarity, in years that could have been lived differently. Sometimes life gives you these quiet warnings, moments where you realize this isn't my train, and that's your cue to stand up, to step off before the distance becomes too great. Remember, the sooner you get off, the easier it is to find your way back home. When you sit down to paint a rose, you are not only painting petals, You're painting symbolism, memory, atmosphere, form, color. You're painting something that countless artists before you have studied. Yet it's always new because every rose has a slightly different gesture. When you sit before a rose with a brush in hand, you realize it's not just a flower, it's an intricate dance of light and shadow, softness and sharpness, mystery and revelation. You realize that it's not only about producing a painting at the end, because the act of painting the rose itself is teaching you something. Something about color, edges, about restraint. If you obsess over every petal, you get lost. Not every petal should scream with bright color. The most effective roses often have quiet petals that lets the dramatic ones shine. So when you paint roses, the balance lies in suggestion, in learning when to describe and when to let the viewer's eye fill in the rest. This challenge is what sharpens you as a painter. Painting roses trains your eye to see subtle value shifts. It trains your hand to control edges from the softest fade to the sharpest cut. So, when you paint a rose, you are not just painting a flower, you are actually rehearsing skills that will make your landscapes more believable, your portraits more sensitive, your still lifes more compelling. Roses are like a classroom which is training you to paint the other subjects more easily. You can watch the longer version of these paintings with a 30-minute voiceover on my Patreon by joining Tier 2. There's one thing that I would like to say is that the magic you're looking for is in the work you're avoiding. So, if there's any unresolved issues that is going in your head or in your work or with people, make sure you fix that first because it is going to stay at the back of your head, and that is definitely going to disrupt your workflow and affect the way you perform in your craft. So make sure you pay attention, pay deep attention and resolve it as quickly as possible. I actually took a long break from YouTube. During that time, I truly hit rock bottom, both mentally and physically, but I kept painting, but it was not in a continuous phase. It was truly one of the toughest phases I've gone through, but it really feels good to be back, and I genuinely hope we never find ourselves slipping back into the darkness. So, there is something that I would like to talk about regarding choosing a partner as an artist or a creative person. You have to choose a creative person too, or someone who actually understands that your workflow needs to be at its own pace, without getting or feeling down that you're not able to spend time with them. If you find something like that, keep them. But if you find or if you choose a partner that doesn't understand that your work demands this workflow or this time frame, then it's going to be a bit problematic, especially if they're clingy and they need constant attention. I don't know, I don't think that artists can do that. There are a few artists who does that, but I think that I personally need a bit of unhealthy isolation in order to create. Like, I cannot let anyone be next to me when I am painting on a painting project. And if they feel offended for it, there's nothing that I can do about it because that is how my workflow flows. I was talking with one of my female artist friend, and she was saying that her life became hell for choosing the wrong person, but he wasn't like that in the beginning. In the beginning, he said and did things in a way that was really supportive. But once they got married and they got kids, the man actually changed. Now her workflow has been completely disrupted. He doesn't cheat or betrays, but he just doesn't understand and is being very abusive. What I'm trying to say is that we don't want that. We don't want anything or anyone that is going to disrupt our flow, because we artists really need someone supportive. So it's this concept, a really, really supportive partner or no partner at all. That is something that I would always say. Because if you're completely whole on your own, why invite someone into your life? Be it a partner, lover, whatever you call it. Why invite something that is not you into your life and then adjust your life according to it? See, I'm gonna show you an example. I am like this circle. I am completely fine on my own. And when you choose a partner or find a partner, you are actually going to make constant adjustments by poking holes in it. Like, you need to constantly make adjustments. You can actually change yourself into a better person for this person or for yourself, like quitting bad behaviors, changing the way you speak, things like that. That's completely fine. That's normal. I mean, changing your painting schedule to fit into their world is something that I would never do, because whatever I'm saying right now is both for male and female. If you find a partner, they should only bring value to your life. They should only add things to your life. They shouldn't, you are someone that is all on your own. They shouldn't come and chip it off. They shouldn't do that, because most people, when you let them in, they'll chip off away your happiness, your workflow, the something that you have built years to feel content with. So choose someone that would really understands you, that also understands your workflow. Don't just go and choose someone that is not something that you want and then try to change them into your world or your realm. If you are a poet, don't recite poetry to someone who wants to go to war. No matter how much the poetry is good or lovey-dovey, they are not going to understand it, because, like I said, the person just wants to go to war, doesn't want poetry. So I think this is something that I've always known, but never really gave much importance to it. And I want you to understand that as an artist, we need to be careful who we let in, and it's so important. Do not make compromises, do not rush in. Don't feel sad for being alone, because being alone is one of the most beautiful thing in the world. When you work on your solitude and on yourself, the peace that you get from it, especially as a woman, it is surreal. You need to really, really try to be that way. You don't really need anyone at all. If you want to marry someone so that you don't want to end up alone and you want someone to take care of you when you grow old, that is actually a need and that is not a want. And I don't believe in such things at all, at least no longer. And I am definitely not going to rush into this matter, because in my life I sleep like a kid, like a 10-year-old kid, and I do not care whom I should be updating, whom should I be talking my schedule about. There is a different type of intimacy when you spend your time with yourself, and people are so afraid to be alone, but it's actually so beautiful. If you cannot be happy with yourself, you can never be happy with another person, because even the Bible says it, right? Like, you need to love your partner like you love yourself. What happens if one doesn't love themselves? Because the amount of self-love that you have for yourself is what you're going to reciprocate to your partner, to your family, or anything else. All right? So make sure you choose someone that aligns with your goals, that aligns with your standards. Don't compromise, as an artist especially. So yeah. So artist John just posted up Ask Me Anything tab on Instagram. I asked him a question, regarding supportive partner or no partner at all. He's an artist from Nicosia. He's Greek. He's an amazing artist. He is 28 years old, and so I'm gonna show you the video response that he gave for my question, and I'm gonna show you that now. I'll put it on the screen.
Both can work. It really depends on the person and the nature of the relationship. Having a supportive partner can be amazing when they understand your creative drive and celebrate your wins. You have the space to work. That kind of support is gold. But here's the thing, the grown partner or someone who's supportive in a controlling way or conditional way, let's say, can be way more draining than, being solo artist. If you are with someone who needs constant attention, doesn't respect your creative time, or makes you feel guilty about, prioritizing your work, that's actually more worse than being alone. So, being single in your creative field has some real advantages, like complete freedom over your schedule, no compromises over your priorities, your energy goes towards your craft. For example, some of my most productive periods have been when I was flying solo. And some of my worst, when things were going the opposite way. The question is not really partner or no partner. It's am I better off with this person or on my own right now? Don't stay something mediocre just because you feel alone. And definitely don't force something like a relationship just because you think you should have one. Your creativity needs protection. Whether that means can't support the partner or the freedom of being unattached. Choose whatever actually serves your work and your peace. My experience, I have had both people who were supportive and others who were so-so. Let's forget if they were artists or not, but let's focus on us. Some people that you meet, they come into your life. Most of them come with unresolved trauma. And you see that negative energy unfolding slowly around your process, around your thoughts, it affects your lifestyle. And it's not a good thing. You lose yourself along the way if you keep tolerating negative energy. I've learned the hard way because I kept saying, okay, it's not a big deal, but it turned out to be. Everything happens for a reason. But if you have somebody who is supportive of your work and they support your goals, your ambition, then I'm very happy for you. Go for it. Watch out. Protect your energy and your work. Be careful who you let into your process. It's very important. Anyways, I just wanted to share that. Peace.
Are we live?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And Samita as well with her workshops, and it's so important.
One more question before we really get into the nuts
Yeah.
and bolts of things. Nance, do you mind just going through your palette whilst Joe's got your...
Yes.
And then we'll do the same for Michelle.
Pretty much like Richard's. And then I stand them up so it worked. But I was like, oh, it does not mix.
It's everything. It's the drawing. It's the drawing for one, and it's sometimes the forehead is gigantic, and if you can do that, you can get such a stuff. I like my painting better, and I like stay with. And that's how we met. And then we started to paint on chisel. It's a whole long story, and we were friends for 8 or 10 years. Good friends. I mean, we were going with Rose and Dan and landscapes, and there's a whole story to it. So
it'll come out in the book one day.
Yeah.
Okay, Nance, whilst I've got you here.
Say, remember what you did good, and remember that, and remember what you didn't do well, and remember that too, so you don't do that again. But
The last one, you. Yeah.
Color differences are so subtle, and color turns a form, which is if you approach this not as a chore, but as is fun, and as Nancy says, learning, it's amazing. I blew my own mind when I started making some of these colors.
We've got a trailer that Joe and Nancy have been working on. This Joe, my Joe. Somebody wrote to say, please tell the gentleman next to you that you were right in looking at him. He is actually the love of my life, so I like being right occasionally. Thank you, Joe. Joe's done all things technical right now. He makes us all look professional to a certain degree.
And he says, well, it's the lips. And he did like 4 strokes on the mouth. It was like, oh, wow, that's it. And I looked at Richard and I said, Richard, how can I ever repay you? And he said to me, Rosie, by doing it for someone else someday. Do it yourself. Be like me. Be willing to just share this great opportunity that it is to be an artist. That's how you can repay me.
And every artist we inspire. That's all of you. You are still with us.
If you're an artist, don't put your brush down. If you're a writer, don't put your pen down. No matter what you go through, keep painting, keep creating, keep doing the craft. Because life will keep throwing things at you, doubt, exhaustion, distraction, and they'll all try to pull you away from what you do. It's what keeps you steady when everything else shifts. It's the quiet space where you find yourself again. So, no matter what happens, pick up the brush, keep creating, keep painting, because every time you do, you prove that nothing can take away what was always meant to be yours. Your art doesn't ask for perfection, it only asks for presence. Even one brushstroke on a difficult day means you didn't give up. And I kid you not when I say this. There were times painting has helped me in more ways than you could ever possibly imagine. For artists, painting isn't just a skill, it's a way to breathe, to heal, and to find direction when everything feels uncertain. If only I could let you all see my love for my craft through my eyes.